Good afternoon and welcome to the weekly weather briefing from the National Weather Service in Peachtree City. My name is Keith Stellman and this is for the week starting today, Thursday, August 31st, 2023. For this week, we'll do a post-storm analysis for Idalia, which went through yesterday. Looking at the week ahead, looking at low-end rain chances for southwest Georgia today and Friday, followed by no rain chances for the entire state all the way through next week. Additionally, this weekend we got a little cool front, and so a little taste of fall with cooler mornings and near normal highs. Before I dive into the Idalia review, I want to make note that these are preliminary analysis, and it is all based on the wind speeds that we have reported thus far. We will do additional analysis of these winds and may also introduce additional wind measurements that we receive over the coming days. Looking at the map on the left, you can see that the max wind swath certainly went across South Georgia with the track of Idalia. There were several reports of 60 to 70 mile an hour winds down in the Valdosta and Waycross areas. For our area, the highest wind speeds were in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range, particularly across from Toombs County all the way over to Telfair County. There were reports of widespread tree damage, especially across the southern parts of those counties, correspondingly to the 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. There were sporadic reports of trees down in the 30 to 40 mile an hour wind area, which is denoted in the yellow on the left-hand graphic. But as you can see, a lot of the winds did stay, most of the winds stayed down in southeast Georgia. The graphic on the top right is an additional analysis that also plots some of the reported wind speeds. I will note that that analysis we just received today does not include some of the mesonet stations like the UGA network, etc. But I did want to plot it there because it is an additional analysis that is a little more refined, a little more high resolution. We will continue to be working on that particular analysis. Bottom right-hand side is a product that we put out, the public information statement, with all of the max reported wind speeds within our county warning area. And as you can see, Vidalia had the highest, that was a UGA site, reported 49 mile an hour, while the airport actually reported a 44 mile an hour wind. This product is available on our website and will be updated with additional reports that do come in. I have a couple rainfall slides I want to go over. The first one is Idalia -3 days. We did have significant flooding that occurred across the northern parts of the state beginning Sunday night that lasted all the way through the passage of Idalia on Wednesday. We note that there are 3 separate flood events which occurred both Sunday night, Monday night, and Tuesday night across North Georgia. Thankfully, they were all in different locations. We did not get repeat rains over the same areas, but you'll note that on the left-hand graphic, there is an area that stretches from Athens back to the city, an area that stretches basically along 85, and then an area across North Georgia. Those all coincide with the 3 nights of flash flooding and heavy rainfall that we experienced prior to Idalia moving across South Georgia. And of course, you can see the rainfall associated with the hurricane that moved across South and Southwest Georgia. Max rainfall amounts on the order of 6 to 8, with some isolated 10-inch amounts, particularly in Charleston's area, over near, say, Swainsboro, over to Millen and Statesboro. Here is the Idalia specific rainfall that occurred with the actual center as it moved across. And as you can tell, you can see a pretty sharp gradient that extends from Statesboro down to Valdosta, and then with a gradient that decreases with northwest. There were a couple bands that moved across North Georgia as the storm was beginning to exit the state, and you can see that denoted in northern Fulton and, say, Forsyth counties, a little higher precip amounts with some of those bands that moved across that region. Similar to the wind analysis, we did also issue a public information statement with rainfall amounts specifically tied to the passage of the hurricane itself. That also is available on our web and as a product, and will be finalized in the coming days with a post-tropical cyclone report that we issue once all of the data is in and quality controlled. So now let's talk about the weather for the week ahead. Currently, you can see Idalia on the map moving off the coast, a frontal boundary down across South Georgia that will be continuing to sink south with time and basically stall across the Gulf Coast. The high pressure that you see located over the Great Lakes and over Michigan will begin to build in over the coming days and will basically dominate our weather for not only the weekend but for the week ahead. Here's a satellite image showing Idalia moving off the coast. You can see some of the clouds associated with the frontal boundary across South Georgia and North Florida, also with sea breeze. Note the direction of the cloud movement. There is an upper level of pressure to the west across Louisiana that's causing some of this, but for the most part that will be pulling away and high pressure will be building in the coming days. Here is the Storm Prediction Center's severe weather outlook for today. And as you can see, the light green color corresponds to just general thunderstorms, and that will be the low end risk of weather for basically our coming 7 days, with general thunderstorms along and south of Macon to Columbus line today and tomorrow. No severe weather expected with these, just your typical summertime thunderstorm variety with limited severe potential overall. The excessive rainfall outlook and the precip forecast. The excessive rainfall outlook is basically confined to a low-end risk across North Florida associated with that stalled front. Correspondingly, take a look at the QPF and the rainfall forecast for the next 1 to 2 days. You can see a lot of it is confined to extreme southwest Georgia, out of our area and not necessarily impinging upon many of the counties. But for the most part, it stays across South Georgia. And if you note in the days 1 and 2 graphic on the top and the days 1 through 7 graphic on the right, there's very little difference between the days 1 and 2 and the days 1 through 7, basically corresponding to that dry period I was mentioning where we will see a drying out over the next 7 days. Just to step you through it, here's the national map starting on Friday. Idalia you can see moving off the screen, along with that stalled frontal boundary along the Gulf Coast for Friday. Again, introducing those low-end precip chances across south and southwest Georgia. Jumping forward into Sunday, here's the national look. For the most part, there's that high pressure that I mentioned earlier sitting across the southeastern U.S. and that stalled frontal boundary sinking even further south, and most of the rain and activity now well away from Georgia, and we enter the dry period through the middle part of next week. Here's a look at Monday. Very similar to Sunday, a rinse and repeat kind of forecast, and enjoy the pleasant fall-like weather as high pressure is in control of our weather from the weekend forward. This is a summary of a couple locations and the forecast temperatures through the week. The thing of note, obviously the top graphic shows the temperatures. I want you to pay attention to the 6 a.m. Saturday and Sunday and even Monday morning temperatures in the lower to maybe middle 60s area wide, particularly across North Georgia, maybe lower 60s or even upper 50s. So it will feel like fall. There is a slow, gradual warming trend through the week as we start to get back to normal and above normal temperatures by the middle to latter part of next week. Likewise, the next graphic down, the middle graphic, shows the probability of precip, essentially highlighting that southwestern Georgia and Columbus area for Friday particularly, but really beginning to diminish Saturday, and then again, no rain chances all the way until late next week. Just a quick recap of the highlights. Low-end rain chances in southwest Georgia today and Friday, followed by no rain chances through next week. Little taste of fall with cooler mornings and near normal highs expected for the weekend, and a gradual warming trend next week. If you need to connect with us in any way, here is the number of ways that you can reach out to us through social media, call us on the phone, or email us. Any one of those ways we can reach out or answer any questions you may have.